You probably know that Bangkok is the capital of Thailand, but did you know it's not the first capital? Here we are in Ayutthaya. This ancient capital is located about 2 hours north of the city of Bangkok by train. Since we had a little bit of extra time while staying in Bangkok, we decided to check it out for the day. And it was well worth it. Ayutthaya was the capital of the Ayutthaya Kingdom, which was located here in Thailand from about the 14th century to the 18th century. In the 18th century, Ayutthaya city was attacked by the Burmese army, and that's when they decided to move the new capital of Siam, or Thailand, to Bangkok. Well, what is today Bangkok? Unfortunately, most of the city was destroyed after that, and though the city has kind of been rebuilt, here, where the center of the city was, is now mostly just archaeological sites and these ruins over here. Pretty cool to see, but I'm really curious what it would have looked like in its heyday. While researching Ayutthaya online, I saw that some people estimate the city to have been as big as 1 million people at its height, which would have put it at one of the largest cities in the world at that point, at least by population. The kingdom is known to have sent emissaries as far away as Japan and China, and even to France. King Louis XIV met one of the Siamese diplomats. Ayutthaya city today is made up of two main parts. There's the modern city, which dominates the eastern side, and the archaeological sites and ruins, which cover most of the west. When deciding to rebuild the city, they intentionally preserved this section of the city and all of the hundreds of monuments covering it. Since we were only visiting for the day, we had just a few hours to run around and explore the city, but we still managed to hit all of the major sites. This is our first stop, and it's the closest to the train station, and it did turn out it was about 50 baht to enter. This is where the Buddha head in the tree is located. It's one of the more famous spots here in Ayutthaya. It was built originally around the 1300s, but it was eventually completely destroyed by the Burmese invasion. Just north of Wat Matat is another temple, well, another big Chedi structure. This one is a little bit newer, being built in the 1400s, the 15th century, and you can still see a lot of the stucco designs on it. It's really beautiful. Walking in here, we immediately noticed the smell, and I believe it's all the bats on the ceiling. Here, it makes me realize that we're seeing all this in red brick, but if you can, try to imagine all of it with a little bit of stucco on the outside. Think of it as like white or gray, or maybe even gold leaf like the temples we saw in Chiang Mai. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check it out. This small one here should give you a better idea of what these would have looked like when fully covered with stucco. So although this is still a little darkened, imagine something like this, but on all these bricks over here as well. It's kind of amazing walking through this part of Ayutthaya. Like, even when there's no temples on the map or nothing really to see on the map, this whole area is just covered in these pretty beautiful ruins and tiny little temples and big little temples. We're just trying to make our way to the next one that we found on the map that looks interesting, and we keep getting sidetracked and stopped just by cool things.
A lot.
Today, for some reason, these trucks keep driving around Ayutthaya. Here you can see a really good example of the stucco on these stupas. There's 3 of them, which is pretty cool. Behind me here is a modern temple here in Ayutthaya. Now, who knows how similar that is to what you would have seen in some of these other structures in the past, but at least you can get an idea for what they would have looked like. This is not the stupa part, but the building sections in front of the stupas and jetties. All right, well, we've arrived at our next and possibly final stop for today. This is Wat Lokaya Sutta. And this is the pretty, maybe well-known reclining Buddha of Ayutthaya. You might have seen it in places like Street Fighter.
Round 1, fight! Tiger uppercut! Tiger uppercut!
We didn't realize this on the way in. We took a tuk-tuk, which was like 100 baht, but it did take us all the way to the temple. But if you want to walk and bike and save some money, then you can just take a ferry boat across. So we're waiting for our ferry back to the train station on the other side. And you can rent bicycles on this side. So I think that's a better idea if you're budget travelers like we are.
We walk a long way.
Not as pleasant. In the end, Ayutthaya was the perfect spot for a history buff like me to relax and enjoy some beautiful scenery and get away from the hustle and bustle of Bangkok. But we eventually had to head back to the big city to get ready for our next adventure. Well, that brings an end to our time here in Bangkok. This is also our last stop here in Thailand, which is a little bit sad. Thailand has been really wonderful. It's been a great country to explore and visit and relax in, pretty affordable, and lots of things are very accessible. So, yeah.
Sad to leave Thailand.
It is where we met and has a special place in our hearts. And the people here are really friendly. We're going to be heading off to a new country very soon, so keep an eye out for that. And in the meantime, please like, subscribe, and comment, and check out our new Patreon. For now, thank you for watching, and
See you at our next destination.
ciao.
Ciao.